Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Anne Jibuno. First, the headlines. Nigerian Senate commends President Muhammadu Buhari for being proactive in revamping the economy. (2020) World Diabetes Day. Stakeholders press for more funding of nursing profession and increased enlightenment of public on the disease. Germany commits 22 billion euros in COVID-19 relief as forces in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region attack airports. As countries grapple with the containment of COVID-19, medical experts are concerned with the spike in number of diabetic patients, hence the need for regular sensitization on the dangers of the disease. Elizabeth Omori in this report takes a look at the causes, prevention and management of diabetes as the world commemorates the day, focusing on nursing, education and funding for health workers in the fight against diabetes.
Diabetes, medical experts say, is a metabolic disease that causes high blood sugar. Nutritionists reveal that untreated high blood sugar from diabetes can damage the nerves, eyes, kidney, and other organs of the body. One would ask, what are the causes and risk factors associated with the health condition? Dr. Nima Eladan, a medical expert, will enlighten us.
For type 1 diabetes, for example, it's usually it's caused by the immune system for some reason, attacking the cells that produce insulin in your body. In type 2 diabetes, we do have the insulin, but the body is somehow resistant to it. For gestational diabetes, it's caused by hormonal imbalances that occur during pregnancy that makes the mother, for some reason as well, resistant to insulin.
General symptoms of diabetes include increased hunger, weight loss, frequent urination, blurry vision, and sores that don't heal.
Healthy lifestyle and diet, eating fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, avoiding things like saturated fat, and too many refined carbohydrates. Then exercising regularly, at least 2 to 3 times in a week for 20 to 30 minutes.
The theme for this year's celebration, Nurses Make the Difference for Diabetes, is apt as nurses double up efforts in the prevention and management of the disease.
WHO wanted to raise awareness on the critical role being played by nurses in the long life management of and care of diabetic patients. So they aim to raise awareness and encourage government and agencies to invest in training and education of nurses towards management of diabetes. Presently, according to the International Diabetic Federation, there are over 2.7 million Nigerians living with diabetes. That is the ones that are recorded officially.
Diabetes, medical experts say, does not have a cure, but staying healthy with regular medical checks will go a long way in reducing the number of diabetic patients. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
And in response to growing concerns about the increasing health threats posed by diabetes, medical experts in Akwa Ibom State have stressed the need for coordinated and concerted actions to confront the disease. They say education and funding are vital to support healthcare professionals in the fight against diabetes in Nigeria. Uduak Etim completes the report.
Research shows that there is an increase in the number of people with diabetes across the world, and the role of nurses and other health professionals becomes important in managing the impacts of the condition. As the 2020 World Diabetes Day campaign focuses on promoting the role of nurses in the prevention and management of diabetes, medical experts say healthcare providers and government must recognize the importance of investing in the training of health workers for a better health care.
Nurses are very critical members of the healthcare sector. Further training and empowering them on how to manage some conditions that are associated with diabetes, that will go a long way to helping people to diagnose this condition early and seek medical care.
Nigerians were also encouraged to eat balanced diet for healthy living.
For you to live free of diabetes simply means you don't take more than necessary the amount of carbohydrate that you should take. That's, you minimize those things. You allowed minerals. You allowed take much of fruit when you are eating, so that it can supplement where the food was not balanced.
The World Diabetes Day is marked on November 14 every year to raise awareness about the need to confront the disease. In Uyo, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
Germany commits 22 billion euros in COVID-19 relief aid as forces in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region attack airports. Uche Uju Ugochukwu has details on Global Update.
Beginning with Germany, where the government says it will pay 22 billion euros in COVID-19 relief aid from January through June 2021 to companies and self-employed people as the impact of the pandemic extends to next year. Meanwhile, French health agency says COVID-19 hospital and intensive care unit admissions have reduced 2 weeks into the second lockdown. In the U.S., many states are reported to be enforcing drastic restrictions as a surge of coronavirus infections and admissions mounts pressure on health facilities. There are now at least 10,713,452 cases of coronavirus in the United States, with 244,207 deaths. In Africa, there are 2,540 COVID-19 patients who are critically ill from the 263,375 active cases. The continent now has 1,960,172 infections, out of which Nigeria takes 64,884 confirmed cases, having recorded 156 new cases Friday. In all, the global infection tally stands at 53,909,044, while 1,312,213 have died. Away from COVID-19, forces in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region have fired rockets at airports in a neighboring state as their conflicts with the government grows. The Tigray's People Liberation Front, which controls Tigray, said it had targeted the two sites in Amhara state and warned of further strikes. And Vietnam braces for Typhoon Wamko to make landfall in the country's central coast early Sunday, as the death toll in the Philippines rose to 53 from that country's deadliest storm this year. Wamko is forecast to hit a swath of Vietnam's coast, warning provinces in its projected path to prepare for its impact. Thanks for staying tuned. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
Thanks a lot, Uche. Climate crisis like the coronavirus pandemic is a global threat that knows no borders. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said this at a virtual meeting with heads of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
Climate change, analysts say, acts as a threat multiplier as its resulting effects can create and aggravate political, economic and social tensions, potentially contributing to cycles of poverty, violence and migration. Antonio Guterres said the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development underpin the work of the United Nations and should be central to national decision-making.
Strong engagement of SCO member states.
The UN scribe called for stronger ties with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in tackling climate change and geopolitical tensions amid COVID-19.
The tide is turning. The European Union, Japan, the Republic of Korea, together with more than 110 other countries, have committed to net zero emissions by 2050, and China before 2060. I call on more governments to join this net zero coalition and to align their COVID-19 recovery plans and national determined contributions for climate action with these objectives.
The UN chief said regular exchanges between the United Nations and the organization provide ways to enhance cooperation on regional issues and appealed for global solidarity in the wake of the Armenia and Azerbaijan conflicts.
I look forward to your further advocacy and action to end hostilities around the world before the end of this year. When people fight each other, the only winner is the virus.
He commended their firm commitment to inclusive multilateralism and the principles of the United Nations Charter. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Nigeria and the United States of America have co-hosted a virtual meeting on the Global Coalition to Defeat ISIS. A statement from the Office of the National Security Advisor indicates that coordinators of the national counter-terrorism of the two countries co-chaired the meeting, attended by delegates from the 82-member Global Coalition drawn from the African Union, European Union, ECOWAS and G5 Sahel, among other international and regional organizations. The statement notes that the National Security Advisor, Major General Babangida, in a message, expressed Nigeria's commitment to the global coalition against ISIS and other terrorist groups in the world. Nigeria's leading role under President Muhammadu Buhari towards defeating terrorism in West Africa was commended at the global event. The air component of the Operation Thunderstrike has neutralized several armed bandits in the Koyambana forest area of Kaduna State. The operation, which took place on November 12, 2020, was executed sequel to reports that close to 100 bandits carrying high-caliber weapons mounted on motorcycles had rustled a large number of cattle and other livestock from Dankolo and Michita villages. A statement from Major General John Enenche, Coordinator Defense Media Operations, says the air component, which spotted the bandits and the rustled animals, dispatched a NAF attack helicopter to the location, which engaged the target area and neutralized several of the bandits. The Senate has noted with satisfaction the assent of President Muhammadu Buhari to the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020, BOFI Act. A statement by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Ajibola Bashiru, says the BOFI Act follows many other bills passed by the Senate on critical areas of the economy, which are relevant to the nation's development. He said that the assent has effectively repealed the 1991 edition, and it is expected to rejuvenate the financial system and enhance the development of the economy, such as quality banking, and ensure recovery of non-performing loans. Senator Bashiru noted that the Senate, under the leadership of the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has resolved to work tirelessly and update Nigeria's outdated laws to ensure that they are vibrant and are in consonance with modern-day economic reality. This is the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja. Stay tuned for more stories after the break. This is still the news on NTA International. Thanks for staying. The former military President General Ibrahim Babangida has commended the Nigeria Institute of Quantity Surveyors for its professional contributions to nation building. General Babangida gave the commendation at his hilltop residence in Minna when he received the National Executive as part of the pre-annual general meeting of the Institute. Suleiman Kadugi reports.
Ibrahim Babangida, who is also the grand patron of the Institute, enjoins them to maintain the standard established. He explains the need for the regulatory authorities to be fully enforced for the future generations to move the country forward. In Minna, Suleiman Kadugi, NTA News.
Borno State government has launched a 25-year development plan framework as well as a 10-year strategic transformation initiative geared towards restoration of lost glory of the state affected by over a decade-long insurgency, with all-inclusive participation of citizens and other stakeholders. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, launched the documents. Mohammed Goni reports that delegations from the federal government, development partners, which include the United Nations, CBN, as well as dignitaries from all walks of life and civil society groups, attended the ceremony held at the Government House, Maiduguri.
The 25-year Borno State Development Plan is aimed at restoring the honor, dignity, and prosperity of Borno State and to ensure that all citizens, including future generations, have access to basic necessities. It also incorporates a 10-year strategic transformation initiative with the objective of making the state self-reliant with over 70% productive population by 2030.
Today represents a unique milestone in the history of development of Borno State. Today represents the triumph of hope over hopelessness, confidence over pessimism, and optimism over despondency. Today Borno State is standing once again on the threshold of history, ready to mobilize all resources at its disposal to overcome life's enduring challenges.
The governor, who stressed his resolve to rejuvenate the economy of the state, also announced that the state government will inject 50 billion naira into the economy to support farmers and small-scale businesses, and further reiterated his commitment to continued resettlement process, which will lead to closure of all IDP camps by 2021. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Aliyu Shinkafi, had, while unveiling the plaque, said the development plan and the 10-year strategic initiative could not have come at a better time, considering the devastation caused by the insurgency.
The 25-year development plan and 10-year strategic transformation initiative of Borno State cannot work alone. It has to work in tandem with the federal government of Nigeria's NTA 2021 to 2025 and 2026 to 2030.
Minister for Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Aliyu Fantami, charged the state authorities to use the state's comparative advantage to develop the state, assuring continuous support of the federal government.
It is because of this I encourage all the stakeholders to join their hands together to make sure that we transform our potentials to reality.
There were goodwill messages from the former Governor Kashim Shettima on behalf of the National Assembly, the United Nations, as well as Shehu Borno, assuring support to the success of the development plan. Special advisor to the governor on SDG, Mairo Mandara, gave an overview of the development plan. Secretary to the state government, Usman Jiddeshua, and the chairman of the organizing committee, Professor Marte Hussaini, said the development plan was the sole initiative of the state governor to reposition the state. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
With effect from 2021, the federal government says it will not engage people as teachers if particular thresholds are not met, as entry will only be limited to the best. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Sonny Echono, stated this while monitoring the October diet of the Teachers Professional Qualifying Examination organized in November by the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, TRCN, in Abuja. Olayinka Ojo reports that a total of 17,602 candidates are participating in the examination being conducted in 34 states and the Federal Capital Territory, with the exception of Ekiti and Jigawa states.
In recent times, the teaching profession has become an all-comers affair, which is a challenge in the education sector in Nigeria. And it is in a bid to ensure quality teaching and learning in schools that the Teachers Professional Qualifying Examination is being organized for teachers.
It's a process that everybody must go through.
It helps evaluate if we'd be able to produce good teachers.
With the use of a carrot and stick approach, federal government says it will migrate teachers who are not qualified out of the classroom to make room for qualified persons because they want to achieve better learning outcomes.
You must have a first class or a 2-1 as minimum. And if you have qualifications in other subjects that is not in education, we arrange for a conversion program for you.
But tracing this, Registrar, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, Professor Josiah Ajiboye, added that a teacher from Government Day Secondary School, Karu, in person of Okpeifa Olasukanmi, is among the top 10 finalists for this year's Global Teacher Award Prize.
The Global Teachers Prize carries a reward of $1 million. They are very enthused, highly enthused that a Nigerian has made it. The last year winner was a teacher from Kenya. A Kenyan teacher won the Global Teachers Prize last year. This is going to be the first time that a Nigerian teacher will be making the first 10.
with the enforcement of government's directive that only qualified teachers will be allowed to teach. An implementation committee which will cover all aspects of teacher resuscitation and revitalization plan is expected to be inaugurated soon. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
Nigerians have been reacting to the result of the match between the Super Eagles and Sierra Leone. Enejo Adiku is our guide on Sports Update.
Football-loving Nigerians have condemned in totality the lackluster performance of the Nigerian Super Eagles against Sierra Leone in Benin after the team surrendered a 4-0 lead in an AFCON qualifier to draw 4-4 in regulation time. They concluded that the lack of technical discipline from the bench of the coaching crew caused the Eagles the maximum 3 points.
James Raw over time has showed that when it comes to in-game management, he's not top-notch.
Play the best players in the best positions, and I think we can take out Sierra Leone even in their backyard.
We made a very big mistake in the game. I did all our best to see that we qualified.
Two other Nations Cup qualifiers decided on Friday. Mali defeated Namibia by a lone goal. South Africa beat Sao Tome and Principe by 2-0, while Morocco walloped Central African Republic by 4-1. Other matches between Tunisia, Tanzania, Niger, and Ethiopia ended by a lone goal in favor of Tunisia and Niger. In other development, head coach of the Nigerian under-20 side, Ladan Boso, said a 25-man provisional list of the Flying Eagles for the WAFU Zone B Championship have been submitted to the Nigerian Football Federation for approval ahead of the games. Coach Ladan Boso stated this in Abuja after his team 4-1 victory in a friendly match against the Nigerian Army Guards Brigade football team, the Scorpion.
Of the 25, still have to drop about 5 because we are traveling with 20 players.
In basketball, as part of means to curtail the spread of coronavirus in the wake of its second wave hitting countries of the world, a youth and sports development initiative of NBA Power Forward, the National Basketball Association and its partners have donated 30,000 masks, 90 new hand washing stations, and hand sanitizers to 30 schools in Abuja. NBA All-Star Victor Oladipo and 2015 NBA champion Festus Ezeli, among other personalities, were part of the 7-year-old initiative that has been using basketball to teach basic sports skills. With Sports Update, Enojo Adiku, NTA News.
And that's the news on NTA International. Remember to connect with the NTA and stand against rape and rapists.